Hello plant community, thanks for tuning into this channel. My name is Pam and welcome everyone to this series of Curiosity That Grew a Plant. I traditionally take this series as a spotlight to share any plant knowledge that I may acquire, whether it be to talk specifically about a plant or just to give an overall generalized tip with the goal in mind to help people who've just started their plant journey, or those individuals who may not have started yet but just need some information to actually get them going. So in the beginning, you guys, of my plant journey, I've shared with you in earlier videos that I was trying to acquire knowledge in the beginning of my plant journey by just asking people that I knew that grew plants. And I would ask them questions like, what did you do to get them to be thriving, to be growing, to be healthy? And I would get that traditional one answer all the time is, all I do is water them. And I have made a mention to you guys how I actually took that theory and just tried to apply it, not taking anything into consideration. And of course, in the midst of me doing that, I killed multiple plants during the way, which was very distraughting and very discouraging to me, to the point where I just went on and just dismissed growing plants altogether for multiple years, thinking that, okay, well, Pam, maybe you just don't have a green thumb. I'm just going to have to admire the beauty of plants through other people's collections. But I'm actually here to tell you guys, especially for those of you who are just starting on your plant journey, it's not that you don't have a green thumb, so don't ever think that. It's just that you may not have enough information or resources to actually help you understand what you need to do in order to ensure that you have a nice collection, but also a healthy and thriving collection. So today, you guys, I'm just going to talk a little bit about watering and just some things to consider, or at least that what I've gathered in my experience of what I need to consider when I do water plants. Some of these things you guys may already know, but once again, like I said, my goal is to help anybody who may not be in the know, regardless of how far in your plant journey you may be, with a specific target as well as far as the new plant parents. Look, let's just jump right in. So you guys, there's 3 things that I actually learned over the years or through my plant journey of what I need to consider before I water my plants. First thing, you guys, is you need to consider light. Understand where your plants are positioned in your home. You need to understand what type of light they're getting. So you need to ask yourself, are they getting low light, medium light, direct light, or bright indirect light? These are the things that you need to understand, because one of the things that I never understood was just the light to water ratio of comparison. So one of the tips you want to keep in mind, you guys, is the more light your plant is receiving, the more energy it's using by absorbing the moisture and nutrients in its soil, which means that the soil will dry up faster as opposed to a plant that's not receiving a lot of light. Knowing that and understanding that, you guys, will help you determine how often you may need to water that plant. Consideration number 2, you want to think about your planting medium. Now, of course, we get plants from various greenhouses, and different greenhouses do different things with their plants in regards to the planting medium. So you may have a plant that has a very airy soil, which could be like equal parts of your regular plant potting soil as well as your aeration, such as your pumice, perlite, orchid bark, leca balls, etc., whatever you use to actually aerate the soil, as opposed to you receiving a plant that has more of a denser soil. Dense in the meaning of not no aeration, because let's face it, you guys, all tropical plants need some form of aeration in the soil to help, hopefully they won't, to promote healthy roots, and then they won't have root rot. So you may have a plant in your home that you just brought home where it could be more of like a 80% of potting soil and then just 20% of the aeration. In a situation like that, you want to keep in mind that that plant is going to hold on to moisture way longer than a plant that's completely filled with aeration. So that's also going to be a deciding factor on how often you should water. Now, consideration number 3, give thought to the plant type that you have. Knowing the variety of your plant will help you understand how often you need to water. Examples. My first example I'm about to show you is my beautiful Philodendron subestatum, and I just had to show the red backs to you guys. This plant is an aroid, and one of the things you want to keep in mind, aroids, because I know aroids want to dry out, they love to dry out, I keep in mind to have it in a very airy mix. So in this mixture, you guys, I'm having it in that perlite, about 60% perlite and orchid bark and 40% soil. And I also have it in a terracotta pot which pulls moisture. So because I know that it loves an area of soil, I also understand that aroids, most aroids, now there are certain types, but that's later on down the line, not for this segment here, but most aroids do prefer to completely dry out before you give them a water. And since I know that, I know not to give this plant a drink until I actually know for sure that it has completely dried out. Now, another plant which is the complete opposite of that, and this is like, once again, know the varieties of your plant, know what these varieties of your plants need. Now, another example which is opposite of that would be this Maranta leucanora, the regular variety, you guys. This is a prayer plant, and we all know prayer plants, they do not like to dry out. So we need to understand that because they don't like to dry out, I traditionally know that, and I know that they will react very harshly if you forget a watering and things like that. So I'm more mindful with this particular plant to not let it dry out. So I'm giving this plant water when the soil is probably dry to the touch, if not at least 1 inch of the soil is dry. This is a plant that will not be very forgiving if you let it completely dry out, such as with your aroids. So that's what I mean, guys, as far as understanding the variety, the types, and understanding exactly what that plant needs. So now we've understand the 3 concepts: lighting, your planting medium, as well as the variety type. Now we have that information, we put that to the side. Now what do we do before we water our plants? Well, we want to, number 1, we definitely always want to check the soil. So there's 2 options that I actually have. Now I strongly recommend for beginners to go with a moisture meter. Moisture meters are very handy, especially if you have those larger pots that where your hand or finger cannot reach. The second option, which I just mentioned is your hand, would be actually your fingers. You can't go wrong with your fingers. Get down and dirty with your plants, and don't be ashamed. Just get down and dirty with them. Stick that finger in the soil and feel it, and if it's moist, then you know that you may need to give it a few days before you water your plants. Now, like I said, let's go back to the moisture meter. This is a very handy tool for our larger pots, because there's just pots that's just too big where our hands cannot reach, and we need this to stick it all the way down to the bottom of the soil. Very handy tool. But keep in mind, this is also a tool that can often break from time over years of use, and we not even be aware of it. So option number 2, outside of the moisture meter, I highly recommend an actual bamboo stick. You see, I have an average one that's pretty long. And what I do, you guys, is I stick it in my bigger pots. I stick it all the way down to the bottom. You pull it out. Now, if the soil is clinging to the stick, then you know there's moisture down there. But if you pull that stick completely out and it's dry, no soil attached, then you know it needs a good watering. And this, you guys, I would actually categorize, now that I think about it, I would call it the cake method. If any of you guys bake, you know you stick a toothpick or something inside the middle of the cake to make sure that it's completely cooked. If it comes out gooey, you know it's not ready, but if it comes out completely dry, it's good to go. That's the same mindset that you guys want to have with the bigger pots, so to speak. So number 2 things that you want to do before actually watering your plants is you want to get familiar with your plants. You guys, some people may say, okay, being a helicopter parent may not be good, but I say sometimes being a helicopter parent can work in your favor, meaning we need to start taking notes of what your plants look like when they are thirsty. I'm going to show you an example as far as what they look like. Here, right here, you guys, I have in my Scindapsus. This is my Silver Splash. And I love Scindapsus. One of the main reasons that I love Scindapsus, outside of the fact that they are beautiful specimens, but they are very communicative when telling you that they need a drink. So even if you're not sure if it's sticking your finger, they will communicate by their leaves actually curling up. So that's what I mean, as you need to get familiar as far as what your leaves look like when it's time for them to have a drink. Knowing that in all your plants, and now since I've actually gotten a little bit more better understanding, I am able with certain plants, I can't say with all, not just yet, but I can say with certain plants, I can just look at them and tell that they need a drink. But I do also, before I don't assume anything. Even if the leaves are curling, I'm still going to stick my finger in the soil to make sure that it is completely dry, because I love my plants so much and I really don't want to kill them. Now, another thing you want to do is not only take a look at your leaves, but you want to take note of how your plants feel. An example to that would be this beautiful Hoya that I have. This Hoya, what is this? Is this a obtusifolia? No, it's the Hoya obovata obtusifolia. Sometimes you lose thought in the names of all these plants as you start growing your collection. But anyway, back to this. This is the Hoya obovata, and one beautiful thing about Hoyas that I know that we probably all are aware of is another telltale sign of them needing water is feeling the leaves. The leaves are nice and firm and very hard to maneuver when it's very well watered. So this one I've watered probably 2 days ago. I know it does not need a drink. I can tell by feeling the leaves. The leaves feel very thick and very succulent. And also too, you guys, when I try to squeeze or maneuver, it's really hard for me to do so. I know that if I apply any more pressure, it will wind up snapping. So you know that it's time to give this plant a good drink when you feel the leaves and you notice, okay, the leaves does not feel as thick as they should be. They'll feel a little soft, innocent, a little mushy, and if you're able to actually bend them around and maneuver them, once again, that is a sign that you need to give a drink. But like I said, it's always best to be safe than sorry. Even after you do these outside checks on your plants, whether looking at the leaves curling up or feeling the texture of the leaves, once again, you can't go wrong with your finger, you guys. Get down and dirty with your plants and stick your finger in the soil and double check. Now, like I said, this is a pretty quick video, you guys. I hope it was somewhat helpful or can provide you some insight. Honestly, if I knew what I know now about these plants and I was able to apply it back, I say 20 some odd years ago, when in my beginning very phases of my plant journey, it's no telling where I would actually be with my plants. But a fun part about going through your journey is trial and error. And I did a lot of trial and error. You're going to do a lot of possibly killing your plants. But in the midst of you killing those plants, hopefully you'll pull something away from it and say, you know what, even though this plant may have died, I did learn a thing or two. So next time when I try, I'll apply my knowledge to it. And hopefully your plant will come out beautiful and healthy and it'll be thriving. So yeah, you guys, share below, let me know as far as your watering routines, if you have a routine, because that's one thing. Let me go back to that. Routines. You want to kick that out. You know, we don't want to have a watering schedule. Never have a watering schedule. Usually for me, I don't have a watering schedule. I actually let my plants do the talking as far as when I need to give them water. So you definitely want to stay away from that. I used to think that I had to do that, like water them every 7 to 10 days. That may apply for some plants, but not for all. So to be on the safe side, I just let them tell me. I check on my plants from time to time. If I know it's been some time since I've watered them, I'm definitely feeling the leaves. I'm definitely feeling the soil. I'm thinking about the aeration of the soil. I'm thinking about the plant type. So these are all things that I do consider before watering the plants. So please, you guys, share below what things do you consider before watering plants that I may have not mentioned, or if you want to even enhance or elaborate on some of the things that I touch, please share. Because like I said, my channel is about us growing together as a plant community and learning things and sharing our experiences and just our common love in this community for the love that we have for our plants. So that pretty much wraps up this video, you guys. Keep in mind, if you love foliage as much as I do and you love listening to planting things, subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Please share to a friend if you think this video will be quite helpful to them so that they can actually learn and grow along with us. Push those thumbs up, you guys. I appreciate everyone who has been doing it because it has been actually increasing more views on my channel, and that's what I really would appreciate. And you guys enjoy your day wherever you are in the world. And until next time, guys, much love. I see y'all later. Have a good day.